Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Business and Banking Dialogue Show, a bi-weekly show which is live on all social media channels. I'm KK, your host. Uh, Today is a very special day for us. Today, we complete 1 year of Business and Banking Dialogue, earlier known as COVID-19 Special Viewpoint Series. As you know, ladies and gentlemen, who have been with us for the entire year. We started this one of its perhaps one of its virtual knowledge response initiative in, in April 27, 2020, with an objective to create a platform for discussion, germinate viewpoints, opinions, um, and from renowned people in the country, like former deputy governors of RBI, CMDs of PSU banks and private banks, and CEOs of payment banks, some of the government people, like former secretaries of government of India, India-born British MPs and lords, who also have come on with the program. Payment startups have also come, and besides that, speakers from various other uh, globe and financial matter experts. Today, we wish to extend our wholehearted appreciation to over 100 plus guest speakers who had come. About more than 50,000 plus participants have been with us. 6+ million digital impressions. And these have immensely contributed in making this program successful. And a big thanks to you, all of you, for giving us that support, that moral support that we so wanted to keep this going. And today we are here after 1 year, the 155th show. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, a matter for us, uh, we would like to listen to you. So, please send your recommendations to ideas at electronicpay.in. Ideas at electronicpay.in. And we will do our best to fulfill them. We are also running a poll. You will see on the screen. Please participate in the same and share your responses. People, humanity, and helping one another matters to EPS. I repeat, people, humanity, and helping one another matters to EPS. Every life matters. Ladies and gentlemen, in current situation sweeping the country called the COVID wave 2, we urge you to be safe and healthy. It has been the tsunami of life's disruption, and distress. It is also a source of unexpected stress and adversity for many people. So today we are discussing about the mental health, well-being in today's stressed out time. Today in the Business and Banking Dialogue show, we have with us Ms. Snigdha Mishra to discuss on how we can build hope and resilience in humanity's most distressed times. I think humanity has never witnessed, perhaps, or at least in our times, such a mass destruction thing that's happening around us. About our guest, let me give you a brief. She is a counseling psychologist. You will also see a brief profile right now. She is a counseling psychologist, mental health educator, founder of Life Surfers. She is actively involved in mental health support in colleges and workplaces. Having been trained in Beck University, USA, she has experience in cognitive and rational emotive behavior therapies. She is involved in counseling, psychologist education, corporate wellness, and improving young adult mental health. So right in front of you, you can read her biodata. Her profile. Thank you and welcome to the show, Snigdha.
So much.
To the 155th show.
Thank you for having me on your special show.
Yes, it's a very special show and the first of our series in healthcare. Snigdha, COVID-19 has brought about a lot of distress, uncertainty, and we don't know a lot of hopelessness also, I must add.
Yes.
Can you give our audience a top view of the virus impact on mental health and how do pandemics in general affect our mental health?
That's a very valid point for the simple reason that when we look at a pandemic, we see that in terms of the physical health. We see it in terms of the availability of the healthcare, right? The treatment and everything. But what we are witnessing right now is completely different. We are witnessing a surge of humanity that has come up together to provide for everything that the system is supposed to do. Now, when you do that, you understand that there is of course the physical ailment, the fear of getting the physical ailment, the repercussions of it. Then is the kind of atmosphere that is created of fear around the pandemic and around the illness itself, the inavailability of resources, right? And the idea that no matter what you can do in terms of safeguarding yourself, you know that the pandemic and the illness has reached a stage where there is, you're just hoping and praying that okay, you whatever safety protocols you follow, it does not come to your homes, because we know that even when people are in their homes, they are contracting it, right?
Yes.
Then comes the systemic failure. There comes the over bombardment of news. Okay, the helplessness in terms of providing help to people. Okay, the lack of physical resources, the lack of mental resources, and the lack of knowledge and know-how of how to help someone in need. And that someone can also be me, my immediate family, or people who reach out to help. Okay, and coupled with the trauma and the grief of loss, if you've lost someone around you, and the general sense of gloom that exists when there is so much of loss that you hear, and so much of powerlessness that is there in everybody around us. So the idea of it all encompassing, and the impact that it has on your mind. And when I say mind, it is about information processing, your attitudes and thoughts, right? Everything that you are, that the triggers that are from the environment, and of course the triggers that are from within you. Then the emotional overwhelm that you feel around everything from day to day, or from an incident that happened with somebody in the home, or around people or a news that you see. And then the behavioral response. Now, the behavioral response is things that you do, actively do, and also the things that you decide not to do. So, behavior, inaction is also a behavior, right? What you are choosing to do and what you are choosing not to do. So, all encompassing is what mental health is. And we know that there is grief, there is, of course, hopelessness, there is a lot of trauma, there is a lot of powerlessness. And, humans have a tendency, when they safeguard themselves or want to safeguard themselves, they do not want to feel powerless. Because when you feel the power, when you feel that there is something in your hand, is when you want to look for avenues of helping. You want to look for avenues for coping. So feeling powerless right now is not a very good feeling, and that kind of impacts you tremendously. And one thing that we are forgetting is that how different the second surge is from the first surge.
Yes.
We experienced the lockdown last time, the pandemic last year, and now the impact is huger, bigger, wider, and the mental health implications are manifold, and they are long term. WHO has very categorically said that we are fearing the pandemic, and that's all right. But we know that mental health is the next pandemic, and it is going to have long-term impact for years to come. So that's like a bird view that I can give you.
That's great. That's what I want. So the audience get a view of what's this. Yeah. So Snigdha, do you see various patterns which are specific to gender, age group, income group, and maybe geographical location?
Oh, this answer is going to take almost an hour if I start talking about it. But I'm going to give you a little pointer so that it gives you a structured viewpoint of how to look at it in terms of gender, demography, and everything. So the first thing that you need to understand is that mental health in general, is not an individual problem. It's a social problem. It's a political problem. It's an economic problem. It's a cultural problem. It's a religious problem. And it, of course, is a gender problem. Okay? Gender, when you look at men and women, when you look at LGBTQI, right? You know that it's a gender problem. You know that women are more likely to develop depression in their lifetime than men, right? You know that men are more likely to develop, hypertension and heart-related ailments than women, and the psychosomatic, effect of it. We know that India leads, and not a very proud thing to say, that India leads suicide when it comes to women suicide within the age group of 15 to 29. India contributes to around 32% of the world suicide, right?
Oh.
So that is huge. We know that almost 42.5% of the corporate employees in India have some or the other form of depression or anxiety. We know that out of around 365 to 400 million young people or youth that we have in India, at least 50% of them suffer from some of the other form of mental health issues, but only about 7% of them go reported. We also know that there is huge stigma, which is around mental health. Okay, we know that in terms of policies, there are a lot of policies on paper, but they don't get the ground and the root level work that is required. We know that to every lakh people, there are only 3 psychiatrists and even lesser psychologists and psychiatric social workers. We know that in the primary healthcare system, we have limited access to psychiatrists, psychologists, and social workers. We know in the tertiary and the secondary mental health care system, there is no to nil access to mental health care, right?
Okay.
We know that the campuses and colleges are ill-equipped in terms of providing the mental health, support that is needed. And here I'm not talking about tribals. Here I'm not talking about the low-income communities, the tier 3 and cities. We're not talking about townships and regions where even regular healthcare is inaccessible. So let's not even talk about mental health.
Yeah, that's giving us distress already.
So, no, but the idea around is, I don't want to put a grim picture, but what I'm putting are hardcore facts. And why I'm putting that is because, as people, it's high time that we look at mental health needs as primary healthcare needs of individuals and communities, and what we can do as communities to provide tertiary support. Why I'm saying tertiary support? Because of course we cannot provide the medical mental health support that is needed, but we can provide tertiary support. And that is, I talk about it because that is my passion project, and that is my premier project that we're kind of working along, launching, trying to talk with the government. Now, the government is busy with COVID right now, and rightly so. But the idea is to provide peer support, to train people in workplaces, to train people in college campuses, to be trained peer support for mental health to their own peer group. If you have 500 employees in an organization, all 500 employees must be trained in peer support so that they have literacy about mental health to lower the stigma. They know the signs and symptoms of mental health problems. They know who to reach out to, when to reach out to, and how they can be supportive to other people. Because we know that for 500 employees in a company, you cannot have one psychologist.
Yes.
And even if you do have that one psychologist, we know that people fear going to psychologists. We know that people, don't understand what mental health problems are, right?
Yeah.
So it has to be like a combined effort of mental health literacy, tertiary support, trained support, and then helping them to go to the right kind of appropriate help that is needed. I think it's high time that we do that.
Sure. You referred to corporate, and many of the audience out here, most of them are from the corporate side. Okay,
Yes.
and that comes with its own kind of challenges in this period of COVID. If you have work from home,
Yes.
and you have families to take care, you
Yes.
have work-related challenges, and supervisors, uh, supervisor stress, can I call it? Okay, because they have to get the jobs done, right?
Yes.
Or two team leaders who lack empathy
Yes.
and are overbearing and demanding. For what are your recommendations to kind of overcome these kind of stresses?
So my recommendation comes rightly from your question, where you use words like overbearing, lacking empathy, focusing on deliverables. Now, this
Yes.
is a time when we're all fighting it together. I think as organizations, we need to, cut the steam here. We we have to kind of not let these deadlines simmer and create more stress, because when everybody around you is sick, when at the back of your head, your constant worry is the safety of your family and of yourself, it is humanly impossible to work to your optimum. So companies have to understand, supervisors have to understand, if they lack empathy, they need to learn empathy. It is a learnable skill. If they lack kindness, they have to look within and explore within about their own families, about their own peers, their own cousins, families, elders, children in the home, right? I think this is the time when, we have to salute the human spirit and humanity in general of how everybody is coming together. So if everybody is coming together to gather resources, this is also a resource. Providing kindness, compassion, and empathy at workplace is also a skill. It is also a resource that you are providing. So I think that it's a good time to kind of practice that, because if you want sustainable, healthy workplaces, then you cannot deny the need for empathy, compassion at this point in time. That's the only support that you can give right now. There is no
Yeah.
other way. There is actually no other way. I can talk about, timetables. I can talk about, all of that. But in situations like this, that doesn't work. What works is humanity. What works is that human touch that you say, it's all right. You're not able to do this today. Please take 2 days, and would you be okay finishing it? Instead of
Yes.
saying that, instead of using terminologies and language like, okay, you cannot finish it. Please give it to me tomorrow morning anyhow. No, it is not going to work right now. It just won't. Because people are, in this limbo kind of a mental health state. They're not happy. They're not sad. I just read I just posted something on my Instagram a while ago, and, I was playing with my son, and I was writing with his chalk, and I wrote, "Dimag kaam nahi kar raha hai, kya kare?" you know.
Huh.
And I just posted. I clicked the picture and I posted it. And because that was the limbo state that I am in. Okay, I know my husband is in, my friends are in, my family is in. And 2 days later, I see this Economic Times or New York Times article. Well, I wrote it, and I wrote on my Instagram that I'm feeling blah, if that's the right word, BLAH, because I can't define it. And actually, in New York Times, they call it languishing. They found out a mental health term for it, which I wasn't familiar with, and they call it languishing, because आप दुखी नहीं है, आप खुश नहीं है, आप productive भी नहीं है, आप unproductive भी नहीं है, आप एक limbo की state में है. And that is where people are right now. So we have to acknowledge that in that sense, you cannot focus. There is a sense of fugue. There is a sense of you want to focus, but you can't. Your focus, your concentration, your memory, everything is impacted right now. So one has to be very mindful.
Yes. So I think there are a lot of people in this audience who are leaders, or supervisors, or whatever we call bosses to a lot of people.
Yes.
And for for them also, this is a new kind of change, complete
Yes.
change, because they are used to getting their kind of things on time,
Yes.
on schedule, getting whether it is night, day, I don't care kind of attitude. So we often hear of the word that they should practice empathy, right? That's what we read about it. So give us supervisors 1 or 2 points as to how they can practice empathy.
Okay, the first and the foremost is because when times like this, we don't understand what empathy really means. Most people think that empathy is about putting yourself in the other person's shoes. So, I mean, logically and rationally, it's impossible to put yourself in other person's shoes. What you need to understand is what the other person might be going through. You don't know, but your effort to understand. And the best way that one can do is ask questions. As a leader, the best thing that you can do is to ask what your people need.
Yes.
Yes. What do you need?
Yeah.
And how do you think I can help provide that? 2 questions, just 2 questions. Because as leaders, you don't have answers to everything. And also, you are also experiencing what your employees are experiencing. It's not like you're immune to everything that's happening around. So you have to also be in touch with your humanness and your vulnerabilities, and come from that space of not knowing right now what to do. So ask, what can I do to help, and how do you think, what steps can I actually do to help you? What is it that you need? Yeah, sure. I think 2 questions. Nothing better than these 2 questions ever.
Okay. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense,
I hope so. I really do hope so that it does.
Yes. I'm sure some of the people who are out there as supervisors and team leads can surely, send a question through the Q&A box. And that's for general opening to all the audience also. If you have any questions to ask Snigdha, please do send your questions on the Q&A box, or you want to talk to her and ask a question directly. If you're lazy to type the question in the Q&A box, you could do that also. And but please stick to the topic, okay? Do not ask about politics or anything out there. Just stick to the topic and ask the question. Okay. So we'll look forward to your questions, ladies and gentlemen. So Snigdha, we have been like, just when the first wave looked like ending and we were all hunky-dory, everything was going back to this thing, everything opened up, and we got a big impact. Like normal, the second wave hit us, and hit us so badly that everything has gone out of gear, completely out of gear. People are struggling. Oh, no oxygen, no that, no, people are dying. It's just too much of a problem. So in this midst of all this, can you give our audience some tips on how do we stay positive amidst all the pervasive despair, sense of frustration, helplessness? Like, one of the things is looking at the news. I stopped looking at the news completely. I mean, I've always been a person to read newspapers and all. I just stopped because it's so much of a negativism out there. So from your point of view, we can always be not be in that. We have to be in the news. Can you give us some tips on how do we stay positive in this troubled times?
Sure. So the first thing is, of course, what you said. But before that, I would say that I personally don't believe in the concept of positivity. I've read enough in terms of, the mental health aspect of toxic positivity, because the idea is that in situations like this where everything is grim, it's okay to feel whatever you're feeling. And it's normal to feel negative emotions. It's normal to feel sad. It's normal to feel hopeless. It's normal to worry. It's normal to be concerned. Okay?
Yeah.
So the first thing that we need to do is put positivity in the dustbin. Because in situations like this, it doesn't work. Of course, what does help is rationality or rational positivity. What it means is focusing specifically on things that are in your control. Okay, you have to, when your mind starts wavering, you have to put your focus back into things that are in your control and that you can actually put your effort towards changing. Okay, you have to contain consumption of news and social media. Okay, it's at our fingertips. It does nothing to us, but yes, it does increase our anxiety. It increases our sense of helplessness. So what you can do and how you can control that is designate a time. For example, I never check news in the morning. I never check news in the night ever. And also, I don't watch news on the television because the conversations are daft. They don't lead to anything. What I do is I have 2 to 3 sources, authentic sources of news, and I only follow that. I follow that in terms of an app, or I follow that on YouTube, and that's about it. And that too, not every day, because I have the InShots app and I get the snippets and the news. My WhatsApp consumption is very, very low. I do not believe in WhatsApp universities. All my family groups and friend groups are all on mute because I do not want to consume that. Okay, I do not engage in conversations about COVID too much because I know that it can be depressive, and I know that I cannot do much to help people. The second thing is, yes, we are all trying our best to kind of help people with resources, but take a break. For example, I've been on a 2-day break in responding to people who need help. I only respond to very few of my closest people who are in contact with me directly and not on WhatsApp group. And I'm not doing this out of anything, but just to safeguard my own self and my own mental health and my own peace. Because yes, it can get very grim, it can get very helpless, and one can get very emotional around one's inability to help people. I know my friends who've been feeling very guilty around their withdrawal. And I just posted something on Instagram 3 days ago saying that please do not feel guilty. Your mental health, your peace of mind is very, very important. And if withdrawing from people and staying at home with your own family in your cocoon is the best way possible for you to cope, then please do that. You owe it to yourself, you owe it to your family to do that. You are not obligated to help everybody who comes to you for help, because you cannot. There is only limited amount of help that you can give. And if it is impacting you negatively, then withdraw. Okay, so these are 4-5 things that you can do. Of course, eating healthy is primary. Sleep at this point is primary. You cannot negotiate with sleep. You cannot negotiate with eating healthy. You cannot negotiate with exercising, even if it is little. I am overweight, and what I started doing is skipping a little bit to manage it, because we're not going out for walks, we're doing nothing, we're just moving around the house. So some form of exercise, whatever is suited to you. If you're not familiar with exercising, speak with a trainer or somebody to lots of online programs. Please take 30 minutes out to do that. Stay in touch with your family and friends. Be in regular touch with them, and of course engage in some me time during the day, even if it is you're sitting alone sipping your coffee or chai. Please do that. Okay, and these are a couple of things which are very small, but when you do them as a pattern over a period of time, you see that you feel more centered and more grounded and less overwhelmed with everything that is happening around you.
Okay, thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, look forward to your questions. Questions which is affecting yours or your family life. So you could even ask those kind of questions. This is an opportunity. You could ask.
We have to.
Snigdha, about.
We do have 2 questions here.
Sorry.
We do have.
It will come. It will come.
Yeah.
So it will come to me, and I will take it up with you. So let's not worry. Okay. Right. So one very, very important section of the population which has got focus, but not as big a focus as others have got, is the student community. Okay?
Oh yes.
They are. I think we are underestimating their stress, and because they don't know whether exams are going to be happening, not happening, postponed. I'm going to be passed based on my previous listening, all sorts of things. So, what needs to be done to ensure the overall growth of a child in such circumstances? Do we need different measures for children who are in kindergarten and primary schools and adolescents who are in high schools? Do we need to do? Can you advise? There are a lot of people.
Yes.
Sure will find.
For younger children, actually, younger children are very resilient and receptive to change.
Yeah.
And one thing that you can ensure the resilience is containing your own anxiety as a parent, because children are more affected by their immediate surroundings and how emotions play out in their immediate, family, than being overwhelmed themselves.
Yeah.
So they respond to how you are responding.
Yeah.
So I have a toddler at home. He's 2.5 years old, and I could see in the last week, where both me and my husband were feeling very frustrated and irritated around the circumstances and around work pressure, this, that, whatever. And we could see that impact our child, because he started screaming. He started shouting for attention, and he started generally getting a little irritable. And we literally had to sit down and talk to each other as to how we need to contain ourselves, because we don't want him to feel the vibe. So we have been trying very hard since 3 days actually, to kind of, we had a conversation on Friday night, and since Saturday, we are trying to kind of really work around containing our own anxieties. And we see a shift, because like I told you right before the session, he came in howling, and I had to kind of calm him down and speak with him, and he understood. He's 2.5, but he still understood, and he went back into his toy room. And that's how we need to engage with children. We need to support their intelligence in understanding. But as I always say, and any parenting expert would say, that parenting is about a parent and it is not about the child. So if we want our child to be contained and to be grounded, we need to contain our energies and our anxieties around it. Then we have to have a pattern in the house and a good system and discipline around the house, involving the children in household chores, in activities, in their me time, in your me time, allowing them to get bored and find ways to engage themselves, because we are not doing any outdoor activities. It is very important that the child does get bored, so that he allows his brain to function and to find ways to engage meaningfully. You don't have to be with your child all the time to provide him with some kind of engagement or stimulation. No, it's impossible to do that. It's not appropriate for your own mental health. And when you give the child that space, you are encouraging industriousness, critical thinking, logical thinking in your child, and nurturing independence in them to be by themselves. Of course, you can start doing that in gaps of 30 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes to begin with, right? And then of course comes the 8 above to kind of 12, 13, where they are very outdoorsy. Their entire life is around outdoors. You have to explain to them, and children, as I said, are very resilient about what the situation is. They already know that there is COVID. They already know that they cannot go out. So you have to work around creating an atmosphere in the house where they feel supported, where they feel listened to, and where there is enough scope for parent-child bonding also. This is a time when we have to look within and change our patterns of parenting and how we look at family time and family engagement. We have to do that because there is no other way. There is no other choice that we have. Then come the boarders, the pre-boarders, and 10th, 11th, 12th. They are at a very, very difficult stage. And in fact, even the university students are, you have to make them understand the idea of powerlessness, the idea of focusing on what is not in your control. Yes, you have to make them understand that this is the decision that they have to live with right now. There is no, plan of action by the government as of now in terms of their exams and their marking and this and that, right? So be it.
Yeah.
So be it, right? Then come the university students. Their career is at a hold. They don't know about their placements. They don't know about the exams. But that's the thing. It's okay if you don't know right now. We will figure it out later. Right now, the priority is surviving COVID, in remaining healthy, in building up your immunity, and things that we have never done as families. That is very important, because fostering, and I use the word fostering because that is exactly what we have to do. We have to foster relationships and emotional well-being within family systems, so that we are able to sustain healthily over a period of time. Because mind you, the prediction is that the COVID is not going anywhere. The strains are going to mutate, and they're going to change the way they function, and it's going to be there in the world. So we have to work around that. I mean, I hope that doesn't come, but what if it does? So we have to now start looking at family systems and close peer support as our way of existing. right? So nurturing that and fostering that is the only way to sustain this healthily. Yeah, these are the some of the ways. Unfortunately,
entire.
I lost you. I can't hear you.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I also don't have. I'm
Hello?
saying, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm saying,
yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
I also don't have answers to everything. We are also reading up. We are exploring. We are talking. No, we're literally talking. We're talking to people. We're understanding. We run helplines. I run 2 helplines. So we're kind of helping. Understand from people what is it that they need. How what can we do to help them to sustain? What can they do within families to support each other? That's how we're also working, asking questions, bringing solutions.
Sure, yeah. This is open up a Pandora's box, the COVID. There is no answers to everything, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's take a question. A couple of questions let us take. Sriram, T.S. Sriram says, we have been living the life of a hermit for the past 1 year. in the second wave, quite a few friends and their families have got impacted with this virus. The virus came right up to a floor above me. My question is it making me very, sorry, is it making me very anxious and it is disturbing me? Is there some way which I can overcome this anxiety?
Okay. Yes. So the first thing for you is to allow yourself to accept that there is some amount of emotional disturbance and anxiety that you will feel. It's very normal and it is very obvious to feel that. What happens is when we do feel anxious, when we do feel sad, our first response is to ask, why am I feeling like this? Or we try to fight it and say that, okay, I should not feel that. Okay, that is going to heighten your anxiety and problems. So what you need to do is to first accept that, yes, I will feel some amount of anxiety. I'm going to be worried about contracting the illness and I'm absolutely okay. Okay. Now, if that turns into physical effects like palpitations and stuff like that, you need to consult a psychiatrist who might give you medicines for containing or anxiety attack. There is nothing wrong in taking that. Okay. You might want to take professional help from a therapist to help you manage your anxiety better. You have to allow yourself space to feel whatever you're feeling and also to acknowledge that, yes, this is the time I need a mental health professional to help me through this. Okay, now you also need to understand whether you're feeling anxious or whether what you have is anxiety. Okay, now anxiousness is the feeling of nervousness, a little bit of tension around your diaphragm or in your belly. That comes and goes, whereas anxiety is this sense of feeling that is there for a prolonged period of time and that impacts your food, weight, sleep, exercise, productivity patterns, your relationships, may trigger anger and frustration and irritability. If that is the case, then you need mental health professionals' help. You might need medication. You might need a psychologist to help you. Whereas if it is the first one, which is anxiousness, you need to focus on maintaining good sleep, have loads and loads and loads of fluid, cut down on your tea and coffee or any aerated drinks that you have, or alcohol and cigarette smoking. Be in touch with your family and friends. Maintain rationality around contraction of the illness. Okay, when I say rationality around it, it means that, yes, I am, as I say, I am doing these things to safeguard myself, and there is nothing beyond this that I can do. When you look at it from that point of view, you will understand that, yes, this is what I'm doing and this is what is in my hand. Now, you might say that, oh, Snigdha, this is easier said than done because I do feel anxious.
Yeah.
I will go back to the first stop and say that it's okay to feel anxious. Don't worry about it, because feeling anxious in a situation like this is absolutely normal and it's absolutely okay. So don't fight it. Don't be in the hurry that mujhe anxiousness honi hi nahi chahiye. Give yourself that time, allow yourself that space to whatever you're feeling is absolutely fine. Don't fight it. Okay. And then maintain focus on things that you are able to control. Anxiety because comes from the fear of the unknown, the idea that something bad will happen and might happen. Okay?
Yeah.
I hope that does answer your question.
Yes, I hope so. Thank you, Sriram. Very good question. Yeah, I think what you're experiencing, I think lots of people experience it. It's something only you are experiencing it. It is we are, we are confined to the houses. We are not able to step out of the house for fear.
It's a
And
very
so
normal response. It's a very normal response to a helpless situation around us.
yes, correct. So I have another question for you, Snigdha. It says, I feel very anxious about catching the virus or transmitting to my loved ones. What can I do?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yes, I'll read the question again from one Mr. Desai. He says, I feel anxious about catching the virus or getting the virus, okay, or transmitting it to my loved ones, okay, to my kids. And
So as I said,
what can I do?
Acha, that's the question, or there is a second part to it?
No, that's the question.
That's the question. This is the same question that the first person had asked. That it's very normal. That's the normal anxiety around a transmitted disease, and something that you have no control over. कि आप महसूस करेंगे, you are going to feel anxious of contracting the disease or transmitting it to your parents or your family members if you do. And that's exactly what the fear is in a pandemic like this. So follow all the protocols. Don't fight this anxiety because this will remain with you. What you can do is you can just ensure that yes, these are the safety precautions that you're taking and that there is no lapse in that. And one thing that I always tell people, when there is a situation around you that is responsible for triggering an anxiety or anxious response, okay, allow yourself time to feel that anxiety, because I will repeat that it is okay to feel that. Imagine aapke, India is in a situation where it is in, that each one of us has the likelihood of contracting the illness, okay, or the virus.
Yes.
Is it not a normal response or an ordinary response to feel the fear? Of course you will feel the fear. So do not fight it. Let yourself be in that fear. But if you think that fear is so high that your anger has increased, your frustration and tolerance has decreased, your sleep is being affected, your food is being affected, your sexual health is affected, your physical health is affected, you're losing weight or gaining weight, your focus, your concentration, memory are all an issue, then you have to take professional medical help. You have to go to a psychiatrist, you have to go to a therapist. And please remember, psychiatrists and therapists usually work together. There is nothing wrong in taking medical help, there is nothing wrong in taking psychiatric meds. And also, please, psychiatric medications are not psychotropic substances. You will not get addicted. They are not drugs. Like, they are drugs, as in they are pharmaceuticals, but they are not drugs. Okay. And every third person in India has some or the other form of depression or anxiety. 1 in 3 people. It is as common cold in India. Okay. So it's high time that we normalize mental health care, help seeking here, because it will have long-term long-term negative impact on your physical health. Psychosomatic ailments, upaj is in here. That is why they're known as psychosomatic.
Okay, so we have another, we can take a direct line. But before that, the last question of Sriram, you said if you are a coffee drinker, you should cut down on coffee. Well, I love coffee. Yeah, I love coffee, and so many others. You may not want to hear that.
No, I love coffee too. I cannot start my morning, without a huge glass of absolutely chilled cold coffee. But yes, that's the only beverage that I have in the day.
Excellent. Join the coffee lovers club.
Oh,
okay, let's take a question directly from Ramesh Prabhu. Ramesh, make your questions short and sweet. Ramesh, Harish Prabhu. Harish, you wanted to ask a question?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, having been through a more onerous and trying situations, in much shorter spans, and including undergoing COVID last year,
Mm-hmm.
I've handled everything with aplomb. I mean,
Mm.
but the second lockdown, has rendered me sort of a feeling of, hopelessness. And I think in the immobility which has been caused, right, forcibly on you has caused this to really, so apart from, your normal things that you're capable of doing, is there any specific regimen that you recommend? Because you can't walk now, you can't do a lot of things. So what should one do to maintain your, sort of demeanor or maintain your sanity?
Yeah, so there are loads of things, like I said. I mean, I don't know which area of India you live in, and if
I
it
live in Mumbai, so
you live in Bombay, all right. So anyway, going to outside anywhere is not is absolutely a no for you, right? You can join, online Zumba classes. You can do high intensity workouts. Join, these YouTube communities that exercise together. Cult Fit has free programs that you can do. So, in terms of increasing your physical mobility, if that's your question, then there is a lot that you can do. There are loads of programs that are available online right now that you can do that. Another thing that is important to train your mind into thinking is that yes, I cannot do that, or go out, but that does not mean the end of the world. That is for my safety. And for the longest time, if going out has been my way to cope, then I have to now change my coping mechanism and change the way I look at creating a healthy lifestyle for myself. And that is what rational positivity means. The idea that you cannot, that your idea of coping changes with your circumstances and changing with the times of the need. Yes, it is forced, but is it in your control? No. Even if it is forced, let's say the government would not put a lockdown, would you be okay going out? Probably not, for your own safety. So we have to, have these rational dialogues in our own head to our own selves to be able to sustain this. And this takes a little bit of little while, but if you're able to do that in your head, it's called cognitive restructuring. That's, I've kind of really simplified it. It's a therapeutic psychotherapy concept called cognitive restructuring. I've really shortened it for you to understand in terms of training your mind and talking to your own self constantly whenever these thoughts pop up, which dissuade you from doing things, or put you in a low, mood, to talk back to them and to literally tell them. You can even name these thoughts, these thought patterns. You can call them X thoughts, because these X thoughts pull you down. So tell these thoughts that, look, you're not helping me right now, so I'm not going to listen to you. I'm going to listen to the opposite of what you are saying. So if your ex thoughts are telling you that, but I'm forced to sit inside the house and this is so gloomy, you can tell your ex thought that, yes, I'm forced to not go out because it's for my own safety. And feeling gloomy is an emotional choice that I have. I don't have to feel gloomy. It's because I'm feeling bad about not going out that I'm feeling bad or feeling gloomy. So what can I do to feel better? So then you can choose behaviors that will make you feel better.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Quite a few cues.
Thank you, Harish. Thank you, Harish. Thanks for a very good question. Ma'am, there's a question from a YouTuber. He says COVID-19 has exposed the gender inequalities, which is being perpetuated in our patriarchal society. He talks about memes and some things are circulating in the social media, which are on women, looks distasteful and disparaging humor. How do we engineer a transformation in social outlook and dichotomy of work so that women do not have guilt and low self-esteem?
Okay, that's a brilliant question, and I could take another 2 hours talking.
No, you haven't.
Maybe
we have only 8 minutes.
I know. I'm just kidding. But maybe we can have another session talking about workplace and gender and mental health and how we can work around it. But you've hit the nail on the head in your question itself. It is to do with patriarchy, the idea that we have divided roles to men and women, that men are supposed to do this and women are supposed to do this. Okay. Now, when you put people in a box, and I'm kind of really simplifying it and making very gender, very neutral and very jargon free. When you put people in a box, and with patriarchy as the umbrella, you are denying them their human rights. Okay, you are denying an 8-year-old boy the luxury of being a house husband and taking care of the house if he has grown up in an environment and being taught that he has to be the caretaker of the house. Okay, you're denying a woman the right to her potential when you tell her that she has to get married at 18, or she has to leave her job after getting pregnant, or she knows that after taking a maternity break and leaving job, it will be difficult for her to come back to the mainstream with the loss of 2-year work time. So what you have to do, changing the world will take massive efforts and may not even be fruitful. Start with yourself, start with your immediate family, start with your children, and be a great role model. Okay, now getting to the specific of your question, how to avoid women from feeling guilty, that's the role of the woman also, and that of her household. What comes with this is a lot of self-respect, a lot of self-love in creating those boundaries where you are able to say no, that this is my role, but this is also your role. I'll give you a very small example. The idea that you say that men should help at home. The idea that why should men help at home? Is it not their home? It is their home. It is their equal home. So why should they help? Why should they not take the responsibility of the home? If making 10 chapatis in the night is a woman's job, what makes it not a man's job? So these are simple things, and they need to be thought over and to play in the family systems. Yes, women have to say no, but men also need to come up and say yes. They have to say that I'm not helping you if I'm changing my child's diaper. I am the father. Giving birth and breastfeeding are the only things that a man cannot do to a child. Other than that, everything a man can do. So it is not, caring for a child is not a woman's job. It is a man's job too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So why will you not give a month-long or a 2-month-long paternity leave? You can start there. Why will you not give that time for a man to bond with their child? It is their need. Okay, we have to create systems. We have to create, and gender and patriarchy, like mental health, have to be dining table and tea time conversations. They don't need to be heavy, but that's what that needs to happen. Nip the in the bud the sexist jokes that come on WhatsApp about women and about wives roles and about all of that. Yes, people will pinpoint and probably call you a killjoy, but that's what you can do. That I'm happy being a killjoy, but I don't want to hear sexist jokes on women. Please stop it. It's high time. It's not okay. I hope that does answer your question.
Yes, thank you. Change begins with us, so let's do that.
Be great role models for your immediate family and your children.
That's absolutely, yeah. Tarun Kumar Singh asked a question. I have been under mental stress for some time now. I'm very scared because of COVID-19, because there are so many COVID positive people around me. So tell me the means to get rid of this problem. I mean, I hope you're not saying COVID problem. I hope mental stress problem is what he's asking.
I will go back to the same answers that I have given twice. I mean, you cannot get rid of the fear of contracting COVID because that's a genuine fear.
Yeah.
And another thing that you can alternatively do is, instead of fearing the fear or feeling bad about being fearful, you can take it as a way of motivating yourself to incorporate all the healthy practices to avoid contracting COVID. that if you did not have fear, you would probably go out. You would probably not wear a mask. You would probably not encourage people around you to wash their hands and so on and so forth, keep sanitation and stuff. So instead of fearing the fear, take that as a motivation factor to indulging in all safety precautions and doing everything possible to safeguard yourself from COVID. Maybe that's another way of looking at it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, ma'am, pandemic or no pandemic? Okay.
Yeah.
Mental strength and the way we look at life, the positive outlook, should be the driving force in life. How can we achieve these two qualities so that we can adapt in the world, which will be far more uncertain than ever before?
Okay. So, of course, the first is to get rid of positivity and look at rational positivity. Because we are human beings, we will have all kinds of array of emotions. We will have sorrow, grief, deaths in the family, loss, feeling of depressed, anxiety, anger, disappointment, hurt, jealousy, envy, everything. And that's absolutely okay. Okay. Make sure that you do take help from a psychiatrist or a psychologist if you fall in the mental health spectrum. Now, you have to also understand that mental health is a spectrum. There is everything around mental health is not mental illness. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel that you're not able to cope, if you feel that you're not able to maintain sleep, healthy patterns in terms of behavior, relationships, your procrastination, anger, frustration has increased. Your relationships are becoming dysfunctional. Your concentration, motivation, and memory is affected. Then please take help. Other than that, three primary things that help maintain good mental health are having rational attitude towards life, which is maintaining evidence-based approach. For example, what is the evidence that what I'm thinking is factual? If it is not factual, I will not dwell on those assumptions for long and see that as the only truth. You can use that in terms of all relationships, all perspectives that you have in life, so that you maintain a balance. I will repeat, having rational positivity, that is looking for evidence in your thoughts, attitudes, and perceptions and beliefs around people, yourself, and the world. Then, of course, healthy sleep is very, very important. Lack of sleep can change the way your brain functions. There is nothing more important, than sleep. Yeah. And everybody's sleep requirement is different. It is not necessary that you need 8 hours or you need 10 hours or you need 7 hours. Okay. Understand your what sleep hygiene means to you and what is optimum sleep for you. The third is, of course, exercise. Exercise changes your brain chemistry and your body chemistry. It doesn't mean whether you're fat or you're thin, you're muscular or you're lean, you're lanky or hefty, or what body shape you have. No, it's about maintaining a decent amount of physical activity to maintain kicking of hormones and neurotransmitters in your system. Seeking help when it is required. It could be help for physical issues from a doctor or from a psychiatrist and mental health professional. We unfortunately take really long to go to a mental health professional if we see there are patterns of changes in our thought processes, our relationships, and the way we have started functioning. And that takes longer to recover. So it's all right to take help. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's obvious that आपको कोई problem है तो आप मदद लोगे. And कोई ज़रूरी नहीं है. If you feel stigma, if you feel you don't want to tell people, if you feel that you will be judged, you don't have to tell people. You don't have to. I've had instances. I was in Bombay long ago, and I had my clinic in Powai in Hiranandani, and I've had instances where I've been having dinner with my family, and I have my patients and my clients coming in and look through me. And not, acknowledging me in public because they're ashamed that they're taking help. On the hindsight, as a kid growing up, I've always seen patients coming to my father and introducing him to his family. My father was a surgeon, and introducing him to the family and to the extended family and calling him for shadi and this, that, all celebrations. Ki Doctor Saab aaye hain, Doctor Saab family leke aiyega. and हमारे साथ ये होता है कि हमको लोग देखते भी नहीं है, देख के अनदेखा कर देते हैं. तो इस मुगालते से निकलिए कि आपके लिए mental health is not for you. Mental health sustenance, seeking help is for everybody. I have taken help. I have a therapist. My therapist has a therapist. My husband has a therapist. So हम help लेते हैं and हम उसी तरह से evolve होते हैं. Therapy is also about self evolvement and self awareness. The more aware you are, the more coping strategies you have in your kitty. आपकी तरकश में जितने तीर होंगे, आप अपने एनिमी को उतने ज्यादा तीर से मार सकते हैं. और आपका एनिमी कौन है? आपका एनिमी है आपके ट्रिगर्स, the triggers that you have, the resilience issues, the problematic situations that you have. So the more coping strategies and resilience skills you have, courtesy therapy or courtesy help, professional help, the easier it is for you. As I say, you can have this tarkash mein teer kitne hain. So coping mechanism, coping toolkit mein tools kitne hain.
Yeah. Okay. So Snigdha, we come to the end of our show. It's all past. Just let's take one or two questions, and it can be a quick round questions. Don't have to take too much.
Yes.
Number one, how do I talk to my children about the coronavirus without making them anxious?
Okay. As I said, children grab onto your own anxiety. Okay, so you need to maybe choose a time when everybody is playful and cheerful, and talk to them, make them understand that, okay, this is the virus and it's a flu. You don't have to extrapolate the anxiety around it and talk to them about all the problems around it, but just say that, okay, this is a virus that is there and we need to be very careful. And these are the 4-5 things that you need to do to keep yourself safe and make sure that others around you are safe. As simple as that. As simple as that.
Okay, very good, excellent. How do I offer emotional support to friends, family members, or co-workers who have been quarantined?
Oh, that's a huge thing. Our entire 10-hour peer support training is based on how to provide emotional support.
But if you could just pick up on the
Yes.
co-workers, because that's most of the audience are working.
Yes, I know. So, the first thing is always ask an open-ended question as to what you can do to support. They will tell you what you can do. Okay. Now, if you have the ability to do that, okay, please do so. If you don't, at least give them, listening is very important. And listening is not hearing. Listening is listening without judgment, without advising, without telling them what to do. Make sure that you are like a bouncing ball, that they have nobody to talk to, they have nobody to vent, so you become that person. So what you need to do first is maintain your own self-care. If you are not mentally stable, you will not be able to help somebody in their times of emotional need. So you have to maintain your emotional stability. Second, lose the judgment. Okay, maybe you want to write this down. Lose the judgment. Listen openly. Understand, and fourth is understand what their cultural, religious, political, economic, economic, caste, gender background is, because that helps increasing your understanding of why the person is in the problem that they are in. Again, connect this with the first two: open, lose judgment, don't give advice. And if you don't feel, you don't understand what to do next after you're talking to them, remember, emotional support is also continuous. Ask them what they need. Ask them simple question: what is it that you need? How can I help you? I am here to help. How can I help you? I am here to help. What can I do to help you? Tell me. Simple.
Absolutely. Super. Thank you very much. In fact, one of the good practices that EPS Plus follow is to, from the HR side, they do call people just to ask how are you and how your family is. And I think it's a wonderful, you get a wonderful feeling with the workers. Thank you.
You know that you're being cared for.
Yeah.
Somebody has your back.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good. So, thanks for your words on how we can help the co-workers who have been carrying quarantine. It's 7 minutes past 7. We do care for your timing. So, with the bottom of the heart, Neha, thank you very much for coming. It's been wonderful talking to you. Yeah, it's been wonderful talking to you. I know it's very, very broad subject, to pack all this in 1 hour is not that easy. We may require many more days to talk about each topic, but that's not the point. We wanted to kind of get some idea, and I think that's very helpful. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in thanking Sneha for coming over, talking to us for 1 hour, and giving us very useful tips about our day-to-day behavior in this time of stress. Do not take stress, do not get anxious, and there is always hope. There is always new day will come. Thank you very much, Sneha, for coming. And one second, there is one desperate call of.
Okay.
Can we take one audio call?
Yes,
Ma'am?
yes, we
Are you
can.
okay? Okay. Digital team, go ahead. Who's the person you want to call? Okay, Manpreet happens to the HR executive of EPS. Manpreet, go ahead, unmute yourself and ask the question.
Hi, Snigdha. Good evening.
Good
I think
evening.
it's been highly insightful. I mean, I'm in the HR and I'm totally impressed and the way you've been sharing your thoughts across. And at the outset, I think I would really want to be honest in, telling you that the way you've explained the terminologies like the limbo state and empathy, just excellently put up.
Thank you.
And Snigdha, the question that I would want to put across to you would not be confined to the current pandemic crisis, because I think throughout we've been hearing about the crisis and how to deal with it and it hovering over our heads. I don't know for how much more time. I would want to put up something which is a holistic thing regarding mental state. I would want to understand, even when we are in the 21st century, in today's time, while we flaunt to belong to the progressive school of thought, then why is it that even fighting a mental health condition takes a great deal of strength and drainage? As even today, it is unanimously thought that people with mental illness are not stable, they are unstable, they are violent, and there are so many myths. So what can be done to overcome these things?
There are 3 words to this, and they're very simple. And that's something that I strive to do personally a lot and through my organization, and they're called mental health literacy.
True.
Mental health literacy. The more literate we are about the subject of mental health, the lower the stigma is, the higher the help-seeking behavior is, the higher is the rate at which people seek help, timely help. It can take many years before somebody goes to a mental health professional to take help. So imagine the years lost, striving and fighting it and dealing with it all alone. It can be a very lonely journey to have a mental health problem. So literacy बढ़ेगी, stigma lower होगा, help seeking behavior बढ़ेगा, लोगों का sorry, I go back to Hindi. I'm from Lucknow, so it comes naturally to me. So yeah, so and what alternatively happens is that you take lesser amount of time to seek right professional help. What it also does is deters other health professionals in taking mental health lightly. In world over, there is huge stigma and taboo around mental health because we look at it from a medical model. We look at it from an illness model of treatment, of institutionalization, of symptoms and diagnosis. And when there is symptoms and diagnosis comes, we forget what I started the session and the question Q&A with, is that mental health is not an individual problem. It is not the problem just of the person who's suffering. It is that family's problem. It is socioeconomic. It is gender. It is government. It is about policies. It's about so many things that influence and impact in impacting that person's mental health and also maintaining their mental health problem. Not just that you have a mental health problem, but why is your mental health problem maintained?
Thank you so
Excellent.
much.
Yeah.
Thanks, Manpreet, and thank you, Shiva. Okay, now we definitely are closing the session. Thank you. Thank you, Snigdha, once again. Excellent. All I can say, it was wonderful talking to you. Thank you very much. Good evening, and ladies and gentlemen. Have a great evening. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Stay mentally healthy, everybody, and take help, please.
Thank you. Yes. Bye-bye.